Another very popular approach to text analysis in CX is thematic analysis using neural embeddings. And it sounds like a very fancy concept, but it really isn't. What it does is it takes the sort of internals of a neural network, not a large language model, but a smaller, simpler network, maybe from the 90s, and essentially tries to use those embeddings, which are just basically long sort of vectors of numbers, and sees, okay, which one of these is more correlated with which other one. And as a result of that, it can sort of group things by meaning a lot better than just using a simple keyword-based approach. And then on top of that, you tag it with sentiment, and then typically there's a human validation at the very end that sort of says, yes, this particular thematic grouping makes sense, and we will give it this particular label. Now, this approach has a range of advantages, mainly flexibility, because essentially you can define these themes ad hoc in the data. And it's also fairly authentic because, once again, you've defined what these are, so it's sort of easy to then sort of see matches in the data. And some of us at Chattermill will call this the IKEA effect, because you've essentially built it yourself. It's sort of nice to see your final work as well. Now, there are certain disadvantages as well with this approach. Like the rule-based approach, is very time-consuming. It's very labor-intensive. You need a lot of dedicated and sort of expertise as well to craft these specific themes and make sure that they're robust over time. And secondly, because these are defined by a human with a single slice of data and a set of themes that were sort of defined in a fairly crude way, it's not as robust over time. And in fact, semantic drift happens a lot, and this approach seems to suffer quite a lot from that.